Okay, we're moving now to a story related to the continued violence, almost 2 months now of violence that we've seen play out in the state of Manipur. The Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, the RSS, has now put out a statement about it in which it's appealed for peace and said the continuous violence that's going on for the last 45 days is extremely worrisome. It's very unfortunate. They've essentially also appealed for peace and mutual harmony and cooperation. Remember, this is a nationalist voluntary organization. The Congress has pointed a finger at the RSS with the Congress leader Jairam Ramesh tweeting out that the RSS's duplicity is well known. He's also pointed out that the Prime Minister still remains silent on this entire issue. Let's go over to my colleague Pallavi Ghosh right now for more context. Pallavi, before we go on, could you first bring us the entirety of what the RSS had to say and then what Jairam Ramesh has pointed out in his tweet in response?
So in fact, the RSS in a detailed statement raised concern over what is happening in Manipur, how peace is still eluding the state, and it also talks about the concerns being raised both by the Kukis as well as the Metis, and it's an appeal to the government to ensure that peace and normalcy is restored in the state. Clearly, the Congress party has immediately pounced on it because the Congress has been maintaining, and if you look at their social media timelines, they've been coming out with memes and, with ads to show how the Prime Minister till now has remained silent. In fact, taking pot shots at the Prime Minister over the Yoga Day celebration in UN, saying that while Manipur is burning, the Prime Minister is, of course, celebrating yoga in America. So now the RSS statement has been used by the Congress party, by Jairam Ramesh specifically, really, to make the point that RSS is duplicity because they are the ones who are the backbone of the BJP. And if they could have, if they wanted to, they could have cracked the whip. But clearly, the Prime Minister still remains silent. In fact, during his Mann Ki Baat today, the Prime Minister made no reference to what is happening in Manipur.
I just want to ask you, Pallavi, yesterday we saw a 10-party delegation from Manipur led by the three-time former Chief Minister of Manipur, Okram Ibobo Singh, again raised this point where he said that the Prime Minister has been silent and remains silent. You had leaders of the JDU, the CPI, the CPM, all a part of that delegation. Is there at all an increase of pressure on the PMO, on the Prime Minister's office to issue a statement, or are we possibly not going to see that?
That's hard to say whether there's going to be any statement coming in from the Prime Minister's office. But the fact is that even Derek O'Brien, for example, had recently written to the Vice President or to the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha saying that an urgent meeting on the Parliamentary Committee on Home Affairs must be called where we can actually discuss the Manipur situation. What the opposition parties have been demanding is that please have an all-party meeting so that all heads can be put together to find a solution, because they point out that despite the Home Minister spending 3 days over there, peace is eluding the state and clearly nothing is going right. I think, of course, you're right. I mean, they are going to be and they are already putting pressure on the Prime Minister to come out with some kind of a statement and a change in strategy.
Pallavi, could you tell us what are your sources telling you is the plan when it comes to the Home Ministry's dealing and managing of Manipur? We know, as you just said, that the Home Minister was there for 3 days. We also know he was planning to go again for 3 days next month. We know that's in store. But what else, especially since the situation continues to remain tense on the ground?
See, the problem over here is that there are many people who are demanding an autonomous region. At least that's what the Kukis are talking about. But that is something which has been made very clear by the central government, even by way of sources, that this is a demand which just cannot be accepted because, one, it's not going to be workable, it's not going to provide any solution. And second, it's going to trigger off similar demands by other tribes or other communities in other states where in Northeast particularly the situation often tends to be fragile. Now, and apart from this, there's some who are also suggesting that should there be a resignation of the Manipur Chief Minister. The thinking within the central government is that this is something which again could not actually solve the problem, because at this point of time you cannot rock the boat, at least as far as the politics is concerned. Yes, it's a tough decision, and the Home Minister has always made the point that it's been triggered off by a court judgment. And therefore, to say that the central government is entirely to blame is not correct. So I think the central government is scratching its head to find some kind of a workable solution, because what is happening now is a lack of trust. There's no trust in the state government, and to a certain extent, I would say also in the central government, at least as far as the Metis and Kukis are concerned.
Okay, thank you, Pallavi, for bringing us that context.